rise of the Republican Party, the Tea Party, and the movement against anything and everything Democratic, Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, and anything else on the left can be attributed to a multitude of things. But one would be foolish and ill-informed at the very least and not admit that nothing in a broadcasting sense has gunned the engines of the conservative moment and their movement than Fox News. Long the television standard bearer for the Republican message, Fox News was seen as being firmly on the side of the right and ripping off the lid of biased media to the left, while Newsmax was creating the top Republican website based on news and the presence around the world that brings that news to you. TV and cable channels, meantime, were flocking to Fox for the Republican message. Now it turns out that message may have carried with it some potentially illegal undertones, with reports of taped conversations, careers being ruined because of sexual harassment, and one of the most powerful men in broadcast history facing what could be many trips to the lawyer's office and a flood of those claiming he used his power for favors. In the history of broadcast television, there has never been a more lurid and impactful scandal that could have far-reaching effects on American politics. John Bachman is here to set the stage.
Well, Ed, the list of women who are publicly accusing Roger Ailes of sexual harassment continues to go. Andrea Tantaros now joins Megyn Kelly and Gretchen Carlson on the list of high-profile accusers, but there are also other women who worked behind the camera now coming forward. The question is, and a lot of people are asking this now, did Fox brass help cover up systemic harassment at the cable news giant?
It is going to be pretty shocking.
Fox News on-air personality Andrea Tantaros. She complained loudly more than once, she says, about sexual harassment from then CEO Roger Ailes, well before Gretchen Carlson. New York Magazine's Gabriel Sherman says Tantaros reported the inappropriate behavior back in 2015. One incident allegedly included the founder of Fox News asking Tantaros to twirl and give Roger Ailes a hug. After she declined repeated advances, Tantaros' lawyer says she faced significant retaliation rather than help from Fox News executives.
Women, we were promised so much with the rise of feminism, and we have gotten a lot, believe me, more than we can deal with.
The key development that Tantaros filed her complaints well before Gretchen Carlson filed her lawsuit begs the question, how much did Fox's top brass know? Carlson is expected to soon reach an 8-figure settlement with News Corporation parent company 21st Century Fox.
I just want to thank you so much for all the support you've given me over the last few days.
Also new and based on Sherman's reporting in New York Magazine, new questions about a possible payout of more than $3 million to quiet a former booker at the Fair and Balanced Network. Also, sources are now revealing details about Ailes' personal black room, in which a handful of trusted contractors worked to spy on Fox's own reporters, rivals, and political enemies.
Now, there are questions now about Roger Ailes' own payout when he is going to leave, perhaps having to shell out some of his own money to pay the Gretchen Carlson lawsuit. Of course, he was forced to resign last month. Ed, he vehemently denies any of these accusations.
All right, thanks, John. Let's dig in and welcome your phone calls on this. Do you trust Fox News? Do you believe them when they claim to be the voice of the conservative? That and more by calling 1-877-NEWSMAX, 1-877-639-7629. Our guest is host of Behind the Curtain, syndicated on Radio America, and the president of Burkman Associates, Jack Burkman, joined by the host of Ringside Politics at WGSO 990 AM in New Orleans. He is also the Louisiana Trump Campaign co-chair. His first book is called America's Last Chance. Welcome, Jeff Crouere, to the Hardline. Gentlemen, thanks for being here. Jack, I'm going to go ahead and begin with you. Is this going to have any real impact on Fox standing whatsoever? Will this make people think twice about the network that they went to for so many years, knowing the skullduggery that's gone on underneath the surface?
Oh, I think it will. You know, Ed, like some of these women, I was silent about Roger Ailes for a long time. I have a personal story, if you like. Fox News signed a contract with me way back in 1998. The contract was basically illegitimate. They promised everything in the world, and all they did was ice me and keep me off the air and keep me away from NBC and CNN. I knew Roger Ailes was a bad guy then, but I didn't dare say anything. These women are heroes. I have known many women at Fox News that have told me stories like this over the years. I can tell you, I firmly believe a lot of that is true. And I'll tell you something else. I think the sexual harassment issues are only the tip of the iceberg. Bad as they are, they're only the tip of the iceberg over there with our friend Roger Ailes. He's not the only bad guy over there. There's a lot of bad people there. And I think a lot more is coming.
And we do have to point out that everything that has been talked about right now are simply allegations. They have not been proven in a court of law. Let's make sure that we put that right out there. Jeff, let me come to you right now from the media standpoint, because you deal in it every single day. Do you think this will have much of an impact?
I think it'll have some impact, but I mean, conservatives have been going to Fox News for years because everything else is so bad. I mean, Fox News is not what I think is the ideal, believe me. They've got issues, but so many of the other networks are so biased, and Fox News at least has some semblance of balance that by comparison, they've been good. But I do agree that this is a serious blow, and this could really harm them in the long run. And I think it is a wake-up call for a lot of conservatives that have been depending solely on Fox News. There's Newsmax, there's talk radio, there's internet, there's Breitbart. There's some other sources we have to go to.
When we, though, talk about the fact, and you've even indicated this as well, that maybe some people won't go there, let's point out Fox News still gets massive ratings. They still lead in many of the ratings categories. So, Jeff, I'll put it to you on this question, which comes down to those people who have trusted them for so long. Should they trust them anymore, knowing what goes on?
Well, I mean, I think there's some people there that have earned the trust, but I agree with the other guests that there's some people there that haven't. So I think it's going to be a pick and choose situation. Some of those hosts there I really think are liberal. I don't depend on them at all. Other hosts I do have a lot of faith in. So it's really, to me, not Fox News in total, but it depends on the personality. It depends on the show.
Jack, isn't that part of it, though, Jack? Let me throw this in here. Isn't it part of it, though, Jack? Because let's be very clear here. There are news people and there are commentators. There are people who deliver the news as journalists. There are people who deliver opinions, and they are paid to do that. So isn't it fair to say that, yes, you are going to get a lot of opinions when you come to a place like this, but this was the place that conservatives, Jack, always knew that they could get the conservative bend of things. Do you believe that there are people sitting there who no longer have the conservatives' best interests in mind, and this might be part of the problem at Fox?
Well, several things, Ed. One thing I would point out about Fox News, they have never really been all that conservative a network. A lot of what you see is sleight of hand. It's a kind of illusion. Like, for instance, take O'Reilly, their leading voice. O'Reilly is actually a kind of libertarian. He's pro-choice. He has a lot of left-leaning social positions. He just doesn't talk about them. Greta Van Susteren does the same thing. A lot of these people are really just libertarians. Fox, in my mind, has never been the conservative network. I think a lot of that has been an optical illusion that Roger Ailes has, perpetrated on the nation. I've always regarded it as a kind of sham. Fox News, when it started, had an opportunity to be really fair and balanced. But what they became instead was the antidote. They became exactly like CBS on the left, where they conflate news and opinion. They just became the right-wing version or the libertarian version of CBS, which does the same thing. So they became as bad or worse as the people they were criticizing.
Let's then get to the next big issue here, Jeff, and this is the report that Roger Ailes used the Fox News budget, allegedly, to target journalists in smear campaigns, going after some websites, going after reporters. How scary is that, Jeff?
That's extremely scary, and that just adds to the damage that's already been done to his reputation and the damage that's already been done to Fox. I mean, if this is true, and let's remember, these are just allegations, nothing has been proven, but if this is true, then I don't see Roger Ailes landing anywhere else, and I see Fox News really being damaged for the long run. This, again, coupled with the other charges that are made by now several women, this is extremely damaging.
Have we then, Jeff, in your opinion, seen the end of Fox News as being, and we've touched on it here, the conservative broadcast voice, that people no longer will trust them?
I think we've seen the end of Fox News being the dominant. I think there's still going to be a player, but I think this opens the door for other options for a lot of viewers out there that, again, are tired of the liberal media. I mean, there's so much anger at the media right now in this campaign. And now at this time, when we need a Fox News to have all this turmoil, is extremely disappointing.
That's why you have Newsmax right now. That's why we have alternatives here in this country. Jack, there's also the talk about using the Fox funds, talking about liability questions here, that if indeed Roger Ailes did use some of the Fox News funds to take care of his enemies, that could make 21st Century Fox liable to its shareholders. You get the feeling here that we are only seeing the beginning of the lawsuits.
Again, Ed, I think you're exactly right. It's the tip of the iceberg. Fox News, Murdoch has to be careful how he settles this suit. For instance, if they go and give $20 million to Gretchen Carlson or something like that, that's the floor. Every woman is going to get $20 million. They're going to have to fight on this. I think Murdoch could end up with several $billion in liability. I don't think anyone knows where the end of this is. Nobody knows where the bottom is. I mean, think about how bad this is. Lori Loon, I actually know Lori Loon. She worked in Washington and then in New York. She was a booker. She was a producer. Can you imagine giving a producer a $3.5 million payout? I mean, that's almost a per se admission that they're covering something up. I mean, that's really bad stuff.
I'll give each of you about 20 seconds here. First to you, Jeff. Fox always uses the phrase fair and balanced. Are they?
Well, I think in light of all these allegations that have come forward, people are going to be questioning that slogan. They're going to be questioning Fox, I think, going forward in this all-important election season, the most important, I think, in our country's history. So the timing could not have been worse. But for the alternatives out there, it's now a chance for, I think, a lot of viewers to look at some different options, including Newsmax.
20 seconds to you then, Jack. Your opinion on that?
Oh, there are few news outlets today. It's very much like the end of the 19th century, the beginning of the 20th century. I mean, with a lot of yellow journalism, there are very few news outlets today that really do not conflate news and opinion. Like I say, I think Fox News has become the antidote. They became exactly like the people they were criticizing.
And they may need an antidote by the time this is all said and done. Jeff Crouere and Jack Burkman, gentlemen, thanks so much for joining us. Reminder once again for all of our friends at DirecTV, don't forget, end of the week, we are moving to channel 366, but you can find us there right now. Lock in channel 366 on DirecTV. The Hardline continues.